I got into bees about 10 years ago. Kind of an interesting story. I was moving a deer stand, or pushing that old deer stand down up at my deer club, and I had a 5-gallon bucket up in there that actually had some bees in it, and I put them on my trailer and come back home. I figured the time I got home all the bees would be blown out, and I was going to try to take the honey out of it. Anyway, I got back home, and which is about an hour away, and the bees were still in the bucket, so I decided to got a little interested in it, so I contacted the agriculture department, and they actually give me the name of an older gentleman, and I become friends with him, and he had quite a few bees, and I would go around and help him with the bees, and he pretty much kind of helped me get going in the bees, and I've increased my bees over the years, and been doing it, like I say, about 10 years. It's right out in my front yard. I had my bees out here, and but it didn't take long to realize that, in order to produce good honey, that you need to be in the agriculture fields over toward Ravel, Start, and Marouge, and in that area over in the agriculture where they grow cotton, soybeans, wildflowers, goldenrod, stuff like that. I had about four hives, and of course I built them on up to about 30, and that's when I actually moved them on over to the agriculture fields, and that's where they at now. The smoker is when we go there, we pop the top off of them, we smoke it, and it actually calms the bees down where we can get inside and actually work on them and be less stings involved. If you don't, they'll be real aggressive and continue to be trying to sting you a lot. Beekeeping is a lot of work. It's really hot, and a big box of the honey, full of honey, is approximately 90 to 100 pounds. So it's extremely hard business, but it's enjoyable, and you make a little side money working with it, but it's extremely hard and extremely hot, and you get stung. So it's just but it's just something about them. They're just amazing creatures to study, I've always been a little bit fascinated with bees in the past, because I think probably pretty much everybody is, but never dreamed about getting involved in them. But it's just that just kind of got me going. One thing led to another,
What you doing? They say you doing something, and say the people older than you and younger than you say they had that kind of operation. They intensive kill like 2 weeks. I come out in one day, and let me tell you what he told me when I finally thought. I said, Doc, I've been taking apple cider vinegar and honey since I was a kid. You know what he told me? You cheater. They called me a cheater. This is bee sweet honey from the honey company, apple cider vinegar, and garlic cloves.
How much you take?
I take a tablespoonful in the morning and a tablespoon at night. And if I feel like it sometime, I just get me a hit of it, like you do coffee or something. It tastes so good, feels good going down. I'm not kidding, man. When you take this, you can feel it when it go down to your feet. All the way to your feet. It just goes through your body. It's good. You ready? Check it out. Want it again? 74 years old.
You can kick high. I can't kick that high. That high I can kick.
See, I used to, before I met Jimmy, I was using that stuff in the store. It's not honey.
What do you mean?
It's not honey.
That's right.
Man have tinkered with that. With Jimmy's, only thing handled that is him and the honeybees. I met Jimmy at the Zodiac car wash that he owns, and I was talking about honey, and he said he had plenty.
Yeah, never thought about being a farmer, but I was, like I say, when I was early age, my dad got in the car business, and I've pretty much been in that pretty much ever since since he got into it, and well, we sold out and got into convenience stores and car washes and stuff like that around the Monroe area. So that's basically what it is. But never even thought about being a gardener or farmer or nothing like that. But it's just kind of, like I say, the bees in my deer stand just kind of got me fascinated, and I started studying on the internet and reading books and just going from there. Okay, the honey flow is normally in end of May, June, July, August, and September, and we'll actually pull honey different times during that period. And our last honey flow in this particular area, which is northeast Louisiana, we'll pull our last in the middle of October, and that'll be our fall honey, which will be a little darker and a little bit stronger tasting. We can tell there's a honey flow going on because we have our honey boxes on, and the cone will be really, really, really white. So we'll know if it's really white cone, we'll know that there's a honey flow on. And but you don't want to pull your honey until the honey's put into the frame and the wax is completely capped off. And that way they pull all the water, the moisture out of it, and they keep it from fermenting. So I always want to make sure that your honey is completely capped off by the bees before you actually pull your honey out of it. See how it's capped off?
Yeah.
When they first put it up in there before they cap it, it's about 90-something% water, and then over a period of time before they cap it, they'll withdraw all the moisture out of it, and it's pure honey. That frame didn't have any, was uncapped with glitter. It's like 90-something% water, and they'll draw all the water off of it. I don't know how they do it. And they cap it off, and it's pure honey. See that beak? Each one of the little deals that they put the honey up in is made. Every one of them is made in an octagon shape, and that just of course octagon shape is supposed to be one of the strongest way to make things and makes it strong. So, but each one of them be like in a little octagon shape. Then they put nectar and pollen in there, and then they put honey is in a separate one, and they like I say, they do that until they get it full, then they cap it off. I just enjoy just being out there. Usually I get there early in the morning, and then maybe late in the afternoon sometime. It's just peaceful and just amazing. Just working with the bees and just watching them and listening to them. It's just it's just hard to say. Just amazing, Your regular bees will come back to that same hive every day, every time. But sometimes they'll drift and go into another hive. It's called drifting, but sometimes it's best you can put some type of color on there or some kind of marker that way they know where to come back to. My machine goes around, holds 36 of these. They find a food source, which I'll be, like I say, approximately 5 miles, but preferably 2.5 miles, and they'll, like I say, come back to the hive, and they do a wing dance, a little dance, and they flap the wings, and that actually tells the other worker bees, how far the bees are, how far the food source is, what type it is, and tells them which way to go. So that's called the wing dance. I'd like to start talking about how you want to start increasing your hives. In early February, middle of February, if you want to start increasing your hives, what we do is you can go into your existing hive, which are real strong hives, and you can actually rob bees from them, and we make nukes. Then you would want to go into your hives and actually, if it's every couple of years, and put queen cells in there, which requeens them, and then after that, then you start your put your honey boxes on for your honey flow, and of course you let your new bees continue to grow on into the summertime, and add boxes to them as they get bigger, and at the end of the summer they should produce honey from you.
That's her rear end?
Yes, here shaking around. But you want to try to line this up where it's pretty straight in there, where she comes out. Don't want to damage it too bad. She'll come out of there.
Oh, she'll come out the front.
She'll come out here. Next morning we put a queen cell in there, and when she hatches out, you got a new queen, and that's how your new bees, new hives start. We keep a certain type of bee in our hive, which is some friend of ours live in Minnesota, and they have like a real big bee operation. They got like 4,000 beehives, and they raise queens. They come down in this area, during the springtime and raise queens, and they produce a queen. It's called a Minnesota hygienic bee, which is a real good honey producing bee, and it's less aggressive. So we try to a calmer bee. So we try to keep their bee in our hives pretty much all the time.
This is where the queen needs to come back. They know their queen is out, and they're creating a activity at that hive, so she doesn't come back to the wrong hive.
Yeah, so us reading on the outside, they let her know where to come back.
Yep.
She's on her maiden flight.
Yep, she's out mating. Yep.
Maiden right now.
Yeah.
She'll come back.
Yep.
Stay there pretty much. Ready to go in a box. See how many bees in there? I'm going to take it out in a minute, put it in a box. See, that's what you look for. It's full like that.
Yeah.
It's ready to be put into a box. Take it out. There's several different little pests that give us a problem in the, as far as being a beekeeper, that can actually come in and destroy your hives. And one of them is called a hive beetle. They've migrated in here from South America over the last 6 or 7 years, and we have to do certain things to protect it from that. And also we have a waxworm and also a pest called varroa mites. Those particular pests, we have to put certain things in there to try to help control them. Cooking oil, and they drown. The bees can't get through the little holes. The bees can't get through there, see, so they won't. But they definitely work. One of my main things in this area is the wildlife and fisheries has really brought the bear population, the black bear population up in this particular area. And we have to make sure that on all our beehives that we put an electric fence up, solar powered electric fence up around our bee yard. If we don't, then the bears will come in there and actually pretty much destroy our hives. So we have to be real cautious about that. They can go in one night, if we're not protected, and destroy 100 hives in one night, and that would be pretty devastating to us. So. I produced approximately 350 gallons of honey last year off my bees. This year I've increased my bees, so I should hoping to produce somewhere around 600 gallons off of them. To this date I have approximately 100 beehives, which I work out of, collect my honey and everything out of them, and sell my honey. Each hive, a real strong hive, will produce 10 gallons of honey, per season. If you could just sit on just a solid clover field, it'd be light, real light. But most of it in this area is pretty much this color right here. If it's pulled out a little further, that gives you a little bit better, easier way to cut it. You had to sit here all day and do 100 boxes at 9 in each box. You'd be wore out. Even if you got the machine, it ain't gonna get it off, so you gotta do a little scratching. That's just part of it. You gotta have it all uncapped before it to clean the honey out. If you're a big-time beekeeper, 400 or 500 hives, you have to have a machine to do this, but it would just wear you out having to do it like this. Me being a small time, I can just pull a few at a time and come in and do it, take my time. It's pretty good. That smokes a little bit. When it's hot, it'll get right off there. Just messy, but it tastes good. chemical honey is real popular. When I first got my first batch of honey, which was about 50 gallons, I thought, you know, what in the world am I going to do with this honey? But once it gets going, and I learned that it's a lot of people buy it because of health reasons, and no problem selling it. Just have a lot of people call me all the time and come by the house, and so no problem, you know, selling the honey.
They love Mr. Turner's honey. They come back and request it after they've had it the first time.
You know, it's a necessity, and if it wasn't for bees, you know, we couldn't survive. A lot of people don't realize it, but you know, bees pollinate our fruits and vegetables and crops, and if it wasn't for them, you know, we wouldn't be growing the vegetables that we do, which puts food on our food source. So bees are a very, you know, important, you know, part of our life.
You know, honey is with apple cider vinegar. That's a good medicine from nature. This is really a good medicine. I'm gonna read this to you about sore throat. The remedy for sore throat is 1 cup of honey and 1 cup of apple cider vinegar. Okay, I got another one here for you for sour stomach. To make a sour stomach feel better, drink a glass of very warm water containing 1 teaspoon of honey and 1 teaspoon of vinegar. I don't only believe it, I use it. And it's good for cramps. You know, like people have cramps, leg cramps. You get a mixture of that and rub it on where you're cramping and it goes right away. Honey is a real medicine. If you don't believe honey is a real medicine, try to discuss it with a doctor. He'll tell you I can't discuss that with you. That's right. The number is 318-388-5414. Okay, and my nickname is Kingfish.
I'm Jimmy Turner with Bee Sweet Honey Company LLC in Swartz, Louisiana. I'm going to show you a little bit about beekeeping, how to put a beehive together. Of course, this is a tie strap. After we put it all together, keep our lid from flying off and tightens it down, keep the bees from getting out of it. Okay, take the lid off. All we have 5 brood frames in here. Okay, it consists of 1 being with the honey on it. Have a frame of honey. It's outside when you have a frame of honey. In all your nuke boxes, you have a frame of honey. Then you have two frames of tiny brood that you rob out of your existing beehive when you're making a nuke. And you put them in there. Then you have a frame of what we call pull wax from the new queen to lay her eggs and stuff in. And you have one empty frame. That's basically where you shake extra bees in there, and then the next morning we leave them shut down overnight, queenless. Don't let the bees out. And the next morning, after they sense that they don't have a queen, we put a queen cell in there, and it hatches out. And then once she grows and she does her mating flight, she comes back and she starts laying eggs, and that's how you build your nuke box. And you leave them in there until it's full of bees before you put it into your big bee boxes. Of course, we put the top back on it. All the bees in there, then we tie it down. And most of the time what we do, we take them to another bee yard we have, because we leave them in the existing bee yard, they open them up, they tend to maybe go back to the existing hive that you took them out of. So after we make our nukes, however many we make, we take them to another location. Okay, what we do is we wire it up, like I say, to try to keep it from any of the bees that you put in there, you wire the opening shut where they can't get out. Then, like I say, the next morning we come in and put a queen cell in there, and at that time we open them up a little bit so the bees can go in and out of. And we leave them like that until they're completely full, and we put them into a big beehive. This is done every year during the springtime, usually in March, last of February, maybe the 1st of March when we start doing our nukes. This is where the queen goes in here, and she lays 2,000 eggs a day on these frames, and they put their honey up and their nectar and pollen. And when they fill all these up, then get all these filled up with honey and bees, then you go to the honey, which is a smaller. You see how much smaller it is than the brood frame. That's where the queen lays her eggs and stuff. Well, this is your honey, which is smaller, and they fill this all up completely with honey. And each one of them little holes are octagon shaped, if you can see, and they'll pull each one of them out with wax, and they will actually put honey in all them little octagon shaped holes on both sides. And once it's completely full of honey on both sides, that's when you pull it out. You can take it to your bee house and you extract the honey out of it. That's a good hive there.